Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So, don't kick that. It's been a very uphill last few days, I'll tell you what. First things first, let's go back in time about 72 hours now and see what's underneath all that canary yellow on the hood. Is there any original finish left, or did it all get blasted away? Let's throw some chemical down and find out. Yep, unfortunately, just as I was suspecting, we just had the primer and the paint, nothing left of original finish underneath. So I stripped the whole thing. Kind of disappointing, but it's how it is. We still have some of that old primer on there. Boy, that stuff is tough to get off. They did the primer unbelievably right and the paint unbelievably wrong on this. So let's blast the rest of it down to clean metal. And the hood blasted up really well. It helped a lot to chemically remove that yellow and that primer as much as possible before blasting. I didn't have to hit it that hard. And that's a really nice panel. There's not a dent or a wrinkle anywhere in that thing. And, well, it would have been nice to have the existing finish left, but I wasn't too surprised because from being able to get a really good look at it in the light and where the edges had been knocked and chipped slightly, it didn't look like there was anything left beneath that yellow and the primer. So that really wasn't too big of a surprise for me. Fast forward to yesterday, I took a trip down to St. Paul, Minnesota because the company that was able to custom roll that piece of 4-inch C-channel for me was finished with the piece. So I picked that up and brought it home, and they matched the dimensions that I gave them perfectly on that arc. They could not have done a better job. So I got it home, and well, there was going to be enough for 2 solid D2 bumper blanks plus a little bit extra in that one piece. I started measuring it off, getting ready to cut, and something just didn't look quite right. So we got some stands out, and I placed it up to the front of the D2, and sure enough, it's way too flat. I gave them the wrong dimensions. I screwed it up big time. I'll show you at the bench where I went wrong. So the only 2 views I've had to go off of for trying to build a D2 front bumper is this 2-dimensional side view that is drawn to scale in the parts manual, and then this one archive photo of the machine kind of angling head on towards us. And from scaling the parts manual using known values and widths and dimensions, we know it's made out of 4-inch C-channel, and from the leading edge point of the bumper in the center angling back to the cutoff end, we radius back 4 inches worth of distance. So we know what the arc has to be, and from referencing this photo, I was shooting for 42 inches cutoff end to cutoff end for width. Using those 2 measurements, I put together this sketch that I submitted to the company to get that piece rolled. So we're going 84 inches total, so I can get 2 good blanks out of that. And because we only need a 4-inch offset, I doubled the length, so I also doubled the offset, thinking that if you would take this and cut it, get it all lined up here, right down the middle, we've still got an 8-inch drop from this end to this end. Take that in half, that's a 4-inch from center line on out to each end, right? Do the same thing for the other side. We still have the same 8-inch drop. That should give us a 4-inch total arc. And that was the wrong way of looking at it. So what I ended up doing was telling them to only roll 50% of the arc into that I really needed to get my total 4-inch drop back from the center on each side. So when you take a straight 90-degree grid pattern like this and you put an arced line over the top of it, the only accurate way to assess how steep your arc is from the absolute center of it and then to work out equally both directions instead of looking at, oh, center line out to the extreme end. Yeah, we got an 8-inch drop. Divide that by 2, 4 and 4, split it equally along the remainder. Yeah, that's the wrong way of doing it, because as the arc travels out, it's on a variable rate curve. So the further out you get, the more steep the curve is and the faster you start heading down. So what you need to do is reference it as if you were going to take the desired 42-inch section right out of the middle of this. So that would be a cut line there, and it would be a cut line there. And because I have it drawn so that each one of these smaller grid squares is 2-inch by 2-inch, you can see that if we cut a 42-inch wide section out of that, 2-inch drop right there, 2-inch right there, and I need a 4-inch drop there and there. That's where I went wrong. So between the price of the steel, the cost of their labor rate to roll it, 6 hours on the road yesterday, $70-ish worth of fuel in the truck, and a stop for lunch, I've got north of $400 into a really neat looking curved piece of channel that is of no use to me. And, well, I need to figure this out. I'm sure there's probably a mathematical mumbo jumbo something that would do it. I'm not smart enough for that. I've never had that ability. So I need to employ methods that my brain can comprehend. Enter cardboard and a string line. Throw in a T-square and a Sharpie marker, tape measure. We can get this figured out. So what I decided to do was, after further evaluation, instead of the 42-inch bumper width, I'm going out full 44. And I know I need to have a 4-inch drop at each end of that from the center. So we made a straight line on the cardboard with a perfect 90-degree intersecting line across the top. And I took the string line, tied it off to the base of this jointer stand where we have a really nice attachment point. So that's our center point for the radius. And what you do then is you pull the string line tight like that, and you line it up perfectly along our center line on the cardboard. Sharpie marker on the looped end, and then you hold it tight and you draw your arc out each direction. Okay, what you have to do is just keep adjusting the length of the string line down to the radius point until you get an arc that matches 0 right here at the apex, and you get a perfect 4-inch drop. By the time you get 22 inches out each way from the center, that's a 44-inch total arc with a 4-inch drop there and there, times 2 for the 2 pieces I want to be able to get for bumper blanks. We've just figured it out. All right, I had literally 10 minutes involved in that. If I would have tried to use numbers juxtaposed with letters and goofy squiggly lines, we'd still be here swearing and cussing and all that. So out at each end, I need a 17-inch total drop, which is roughly, it's a little bit more than double what my original 8-inch was, so that's proven itself out even further. But once I established that arc, I built the prototype. Right here, cardboard and blue painter's tape. Works like a charm. So we use that arc that we had from out there, and yeah, when you compare this to the piece that I had rolled, it's quite evident how much more of a curve I need than what I told them to roll. Like I said, we only rolled it to 50% of what we need. So to further prove it out, I set it up here at the front of the machine. We have our center line marked right there, so we're just by eyeball centering it up between the grill slats. But I stand back and take a look at that. It's got the right look, it's got the right fit, it's got the right curve. Everything else is matching properly. We have our 4-inch sweep back from the center on out to each side. There, I know beyond the shadow of a doubt what I need to tell them to do now. And here's the new sketch that is going to be submitted, and you can tell that looks a lot better for arc than the first one, and we've put more time, more effort, and more brain power into actually proving this one out, seeing it on the floor, building a prototype. I've got the utmost confidence that that's going to work. So, you know, we could take this down and just have them roll it again, put more arc in it. They can do that. The issue I have with that, though, is in how far away from them I am, because when you factor in, well, it's going to be another trip down there just to drop it off, and they're a rather big entity. They do a lot of business, so from the time they get the work order, it's 7 to 10 days before they actually get around to doing the job. So that means a trip down to drop that off, come back home, week and a half later, get the call, second trip down to pick it up, pay them for their service. It's cheaper for me just to say start over with a brand new piece of steel. I can buy a new piece of steel cheaper than I can haul this one down there, and we'll just start the process over again. Hopefully you'll be right. I'm going to hang on to this one because I'm always building weird, goofy things anyhow. So eventually a curved piece of 4-inch C-channel is going to come in really handy for something. I just don't know what it is yet. And that's what it is. It's a kick in the teeth, definitely, considering the lost time, the lost investment. But, well, as Ron White says, if you're going to be stupid, you better be tough, because stupid's going to hurt, right? So, but like I said before, everybody fails. I fail from time to time. Don't be afraid to fail, because if you fail correctly, you can take something away from it. And yeah, you definitely remember the times you've been burned a lot better than you remember the times where everything went well. And considering to this point, belly pan, side irons, two-piece side panels have all went very well. I haven't even really had to navigate a single bump in the road. So I was past due for a mistake. And well, hopefully we've paid the piper and we're past that, and we can continue on ahead after this. So we're going to start the process to get a new piece rolled. In the meantime, I can move ahead with starting the paint on the pieces that are done, and we'll just we'll stay busy and do what we can do. So once again, everybody, thanks for watching, and yeah, we're just going to see if we can make something happen here. Hope to see you back again.